The Canadian government has declared a full-on national emergency, and members of Congress here in the States are getting wildly rich off of trading stocks. Plausibly live from an undisclosed location, the Seannie Mac Show begins right now. Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Seannie Mac. It's a pleasure to have you with us. We begin tonight with our neighbors to the north, who have had quite a start to 2022. The Canadian capital city of Ottawa has been ground to a halt for a few weeks now as a group of truckers protesting vaccine mandates have blocked traffic in the city. Now, the protests have also spread throughout the country and have drawn quite a lot of media attention here in the U.S. and around the world. But this week, shit got real when Canadian Prime Minister and guy at the office your wife talks about too much, Justin Trudeau, declared an unprecedented national emergency.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity to address the blockades and occupations. The police will be given more tools to restore order in places where public assemblies can constitute illegal and dangerous activities, such as blockades and occupations as seen in Ottawa, the Ambassador Bridge, and elsewhere.
Oh yeah, this emergency is quite draconian. While Trudeau did stop short of using his power to deploy the military to break up the protests, this order does include police forcing tow trucks to remove vehicles from the blockades, and it also allows police to exchange information with banks about individual truckers, including the option to freeze their personal and business bank accounts. And it requires insurance companies to revoke insurance policies on the trucks involved in the blockades. Now, this wasn't always Trudeau's position. For instance, just last week, he reminded everyone of the limits of his power.
I want to remind everyone that politicians don't direct police in a democratic society, but I can assure you that the RCMP is working with provincial and local police departments to enforce the law.
Interesting. So within just a few days, Trudeau went from, look guys, I really can't do much about it, to full on, get in your house and stay there. What changed exactly?
Today, Prime Minister Trudeau was obviously part of the planned meeting as well. He also had a separate meeting with him where they discussed the ongoing blockade of key bridges and crossings between the United States and Canada, including Detroit-Windsor, Sweetwater, Coutts and Pembina Emerson. The two leaders agreed that the actions of the individuals who are obstructing travel and commerce between our two countries are having significant direct impacts on citizens' lives and livelihoods. The president expressed his concern that United States companies and workers are experiencing serious effects, including slowdowns in production, shortened work hours, and plant closures. The prime minister promised quick action in enforcing the law, and the president thanked him for the steps he and other Canadian authorities are taking to restore the open passage of bridges to the United States. In turn, the Prime Minister also thanked the President and his administration, the Governor of Michigan, and U.S. officials for all of the assistance that we have provided to resolve the disruption, and the two leaders agreed to stay in close touch.
Yes. Big Brother Biden got on the phone. For the first few weeks, this was really just a domestic issue. Some Canadian cities, including the capital of Ottawa, were experiencing super annoying traffic jams with lots of honking horns. But then the truckers began to choke off border crossings into the States, including the Ambassador Bridge, which connects Detroit with Windsor, Ontario. And it's the #1 land border crossing between our two countries, so it is crucial to Detroit's automotive industry. Now, if you're a Canadian citizen, even one who abhors these protests, and there are plenty of those, this can't be a great feeling, can it? Your older brother, who's always been kind of a dick to you and never really talks to you or bothers to wander into your room to see how you're doing, all of a sudden hears your music a little too loud through the wall, walks into your bedroom and slaps the stereo off. Actually, speaking of music, if we can just make a phone call and force Canada to keep their shit on their side of the border, how have we not forced them to stop exporting Nickelback yet? I mean, it's probably because we all just want to be big rock stars with hilltop houses, driving 15 cars. God, that song is catchy. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Canadian tyranny of a different sort. Okay, now, a Seannie Mac Show investigation has concluded that the United States and Canada are different countries. We have different laws, and they have a different structure. And anyone who knows me knows I mostly hate protests. I think they're super annoying, giant pains in the ass. But that's kind of the point. You don't have to like it, and I usually don't. But other people have to be allowed to do it. And while Canada doesn't have our First Amendment, they are supposed to be a liberal Western democracy. And in one of those, getting to peacefully and publicly challenge your government is a fundamental principle. And without that, you ain't got much. We'll be right back. Hey, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you like what we're doing here, the best way to support the show is to become a premium subscriber, which you can do at the top link right down there in the description. As a premium Seannie Mac Show subscriber, you'll get the full video and audio versions of every episode early and ad-free. That's before anyone else gets it and without me asking you to do stuff like I am right now. Plus, you'll get exclusive behind-the-scenes content, a weekly Q&A with me, where you can ask me anything and I'll answer it, and premium subscribers get exclusive discounts on all our future merchandise, as well as discounts on tickets to all of our future live shows. It really is the best way to support the show and keep it going. Again, that's at the top link right down there in the description. Do it and I will love you forever. Okay, now back to the show. Welcome back. You know, here in this country, we have a little government of our own. And funny thing about that, you see, members of Congress, both in the House and the Senate, as well as their families and their staff, are allowed to trade individual stocks, even though they routinely vote on legislation affecting publicly traded companies. And, maybe most importantly, they have access to information before any of the rest of us about coming regulations and overall economic trends. This became kind of a big deal when it came to a head back at the beginning of the pandemic, right before the lockdowns, when, I'm sure entirely coincidentally, members of Congress made huge buys in medical supply companies and technology that made it easier to work from home. It's like they were from the future. Now, as a result of that, 4 total senators, 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat, were investigated by the Senate Ethics Committee and later by the Justice Department for insider trading. Eventually, though, all the investigations were closed, including the one by the DOJ, and no charges were ever filed. Martha Stewart's online one? She has a few questions. #Justice for Martha. Now, since the insider trading scandal back at the beginning of the pandemic, there's been a bit of a groundswell for banning congressional stock trades altogether. As of now, congressional stock trading is totally legal, but members, their families, and their staff, as well as other government officials, are forced by a law called the Stock Act to disclose all their financial transactions within 45 days of making them. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, this is bullshit, and how do I get that gig? And who writes the laws for these people? Well, it turns out they do. And the person most responsible for any legislation that would regulate this sort of behavior feels a certain type of way about it.
Insider just completed a 5-month investigation finding that 49 members of Congress and 182 senior congressional staffers have violated the Stock Act, the insider trading law. I'm wondering if you have any reaction to that, and secondly, should members of Congress and their spouses be banned from trading individual stocks while serving in Congress?
No, I don't know to the second one. We have a responsibility to report in the stock, on the stock, but I'm not familiar with that 5-month review, but if people aren't reporting, they should be.
Why do you think
Because this is a free market and people, we're a free market economy, they should be able to participate in that.
Yeah, that really is a hell of a deal, isn't it? Why don't you try that with your spouse? I tell you what, just tell your spouse, honey, no. I want our policy to be, I get to bang the babysitter. I just have to tell you about it. See? All taken care of. Now, this story has actually seen quite a bit of movement just this week, and we will have plenty more on this story with that new advancement tomorrow night right here on the show. In the meantime, stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for supporting the show. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Be sure you hit the bell so you'll get notified as soon as our show drops, and you'll never miss any of our videos. You can also follow and download the show on all the major podcast apps. Please don't forget to rate and review us, and if you like what we're doing here, just tell your family and friends about us. You can tell your grandparents it's like a really short Johnny Carson, just without Ed in the band, and Johnny. Or tell your kids it's like a really long TikTok. Okay, back to the show. Hey, that's our show. Thank you so much for joining us. We're back tomorrow night at 9 with an all-new episode on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We will see you then. Have a great night. Bye-bye.